All right, today we're going to dive into a single court case that, and I'm not exaggerating here, completely changed the game for politicians in India. It's a legal battle that really all comes down to one simple but incredibly powerful question. I mean, really think about this for a second. Can a convicted criminal make your laws? Could someone found guilty of a serious crime, we're talking prison time, still get to sit in parliament and write the very rules that govern the rest of us? Well, for decades in India, the answer was, believe it or not, yes. So, how on earth was that possible, right? Well, it all came down to a very specific, and let's be honest, a very powerful legal loophole. And this wasn't some mistake or an oversight. Nope, this was written right into the law, creating a special little carve-out just for elected officials. Now, you could argue the idea was to protect them from bogus cases meant to mess with governance, but the effect was, well, you'll see. And this special protection, it wasn't for you or me. It was specifically for MPs and MLAs, members of parliament and legislative assemblies, the very people we elect to represent us at the national and state levels. So where did this all come from? It was hiding in plain sight, really. In a specific clause, Section 8, subsection 4 of the Representation of People Act. This is a huge piece of legislation from back in 1951 that pretty much governs all of India's elections. And this one little section, this was the key that unlocked a massive escape hatch for convicted politicians. Okay, so how did this loophole actually work? What did it look like day to day? Let's break down the old system step by step. It was basically a 4-step playbook. So step 1. A lawmaker gets convicted of a serious crime. Step 2, they're sentenced to at least 2 years in prison. But then, and this is the kicker, step 3, as long as they filed an appeal within 3 months, they just kept their job. Their disqualification was just paused, potentially for years while the appeal crawled through the court system. They could still vote on bills, still be a lawmaker, all while being a convicted criminal. It's kind of wild when you think about it. But a system like this, where lawmakers seem to be playing by a different set of rules than everyone else, well, it was bound to be challenged, and eventually it was. The whole issue landed right in front of the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court of India. And this really gets to the core of it all. The case, Lily Thomas versus the Union of India, basically boiled down to one fundamental question of equality. Why? Why should a convicted lawmaker get a special get-out-of-jail-free card that no ordinary citizen gets? So, yeah, the stage was set for a truly historic decision. In 2013, the Supreme Court delivered its verdict, and believe me, it sent shockwaves through the entire political establishment. The court's entire ruling hinged on just 2 powerful Latin words. You ready? Ultra vires. So what does ultra vires even mean? Well, it's a Latin term that basically means beyond the powers. What the Supreme Court was saying was that when Parliament created that loophole, Section 8.4, it went too far. It had overstepped its constitutional authority. It had written a law that was fundamentally unequal, and because of that, it was invalid, gone, kaput. And just like that, with that one declaration, the whole system changed. I mean, literally overnight. The loophole that had protected politicians for over 60 years was just gone. Just look at the difference here. It is night and day. Before 2013, you had a 3-month grace period to appeal. After 2013, 0, not a single day. Before, you were only disqualified if your final appeal failed. Now, you're disqualified the second you're convicted. The bottom line is this. A convicted lawmaker used to stay in their job. Now, they are immediately out. And what's the magic number that kicks this whole thing off? 2, a prison sentence of 2 years or more. Any conviction that meets that bar now results in immediate disqualification. No more appeals, no more delays, it's instant. So when you step back and look at it, the impact of this case was just massive. It closed a huge legal loophole, for sure. It created immediate disqualification for convicted MPs and MLAs. But more than that, it sent a crystal clear message. Accountability in politics matters, and nobody, not even the people making the laws, is above the law. So yeah, the Lily Thomas case was a landmark step for accountability in Indian politics. A huge win for the idea that everyone should be treated equally. But it also makes you think, right? With this massive loophole finally closed, what's the next big challenge for electoral reform? What comes next? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.